that when you're on your right path and you have passion for what it is that you do, that the universe conspires with you because you're aligned with source energy. You become part of the creative process. And the creative process is God consciousness. And when you're in God consciousness, the universe will just send you the right people. And I mean, that isn't like something that you can just sort of bank on, except that after a while you do. And you just sort of get a knowing, and you have an awareness that I'm on the right path, and this is what I'm doing, and my heart tells me this is my calling. I wrote a book recently called Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling. Inspiration, it breaks down to in spirit. Your calling is a spiritual calling. And when you feel that, and you feel called by it, then, you know, there's that old saying that when the student is ready, the teachers will appear. The teachers are everywhere. They might be sitting right next to you. It might be this room. It might be this little talk that I'm giving to you here this morning. You don't know. I mean, but I just read something by Mary Oliver. Anybody in the room know who Mary Oliver is? Let me see. Yeah. She's a very famous poet who lives out on Cape Cod. And they ask her, what's your formula for success? She's 71 years, my age, 71 years old. And she said three things. She said, one, pay attention. Just pay attention. Two, be astonished. You know, live from a place of bewilderment. And three, tell other people, which is what you're here for, to tell other people. Just do that, she said, and pay attention. And notice when the right things come up and when the right people, and get your ego out of it. So let me tell you the story of how Erroneous Zones was published. I was lecturing at St. John. I was a professor, associate professor at St. John's University in Queens. And all the years that I was a graduate student, which was a lot, 8 years of college after the Navy, I would sit in a classroom and I would always be astonished at how bad the lecturers were, how bad the teachers were, the professors were. Not about how that they didn't know their business. They knew their stuff. I was at the University of Michigan, and I was at Wayne. These were very good schools at Wayne State University, but they were just bad. They would look out, and their audience would be bored, and they would be. And I can remember sitting there in my 20s and thinking, when I am on stage, not if I am on stage, because I knew that I would be on stage. Because I'd already spent 4 years in the Navy, and I was giving lectures on philosophy, epistemology, things like that over there in Guam. I mean, it was, and I can remember vowing that because I just knew I was going to become a school teacher, you know, and I started out just as a high school teacher. I knew that when I taught classes, my classes were going to be entertaining and compelling and interesting and fascinating and exciting, and I wasn't going to read to them from my notes, and I was going to, you know, come there and just entertain and get people to want to hear more. I mean, I feel that way right now. I just feel like, you know, right here in this room, you know, I watch my audience. Are you paying attention? Are you interested? And if you're not, I'll go off into another area. I'll tell a joke or make it funny or tell a story, whatever it might be. But do you remember that when you were in college and high school, how bad these teachers were? Just not bad at teaching necessarily, but bad at just communicating, just making it fun. I mean, who were the teachers? Who was your favorite teacher? What was I'm sure every one of you have a favorite teacher, and that was the person that made you laugh, that was interested in you, that could make it come alive, right? And the endless, boring lectures that you went to, so I made up my mind that was what I was going to be. So when I took this position as a professor at St. John's University, I've made my classes come alive. Because my lectures started, and I would use a lot of humor, and sometimes it was salacious, and sometimes it was, you know, and I thought of myself sort of a frustrated comedian, so there was a lot of laughter and having a lot of fun. And before you know it, people would say, you got to come to this guy Dyer, come to his class. And I actually had the dean come to me and complain that all of the parking places at the university were being taken up by non-students who are coming to your class, because I would have 40 students in my class and there'd be like 100 people there, or sometimes 200-300 people there, because it was just like an event. I would make 2.5 hours of just fun, and I recorded everything, and it was all my preparation for your Erroneous Zones. I just loved what I did so much, and I loved this book so much, and I felt that it had really a lot to offer, and people were reading it and saying, wow, this really means something. I find out now that about something like 800 universities and community colleges were using your Erroneous Zones, and still do, as textbooks in their classes and so on. And people are touched by that book, and it's just, all it is a book about common sense and how not to allow other people's opinions to rule your life, and how to live in the present and not be filled with guilt, and how to love yourself, and how to get rid of jealousy and anger and fear and worry and stuff that people just are so immobilized by. And I just boiled it all down to it's just a mistake in the way you think.